He wrote the most influential book on war ever created. The first rule: avoid war completely. Around 500 BC, a Chinese general named Sun Tzu watched armies destroy each other. Thousands of soldiers dying, resources wasted, kingdoms falling, all because leaders thought power was about strength, about having the biggest army, the best weapons, the most force. But Sun Tzu saw something they missed, that the strongest army doesn't always win. The smartest one does. And he wrote down principles of strategy that still work today. Not just in war, in business, in relationships, in life. Because strategy beats strength every single time. Here's what most people get wrong about winning. They think you need to be the strongest, the toughest, the one with the most resources, so they focus on building power, getting bigger, being more. But Sun Tzu looked at actual battles and saw that wasn't the pattern. Small armies beat large ones. Weak forces defeated strong ones. Not through luck, through strategy. The generals who won weren't always the strongest. They were the ones who understood the situation better, who prepared better, who thought ahead, who knew when to fight and when not to, who controlled the conditions of battle instead of just showing up with force. Sun Tzu's entire philosophy comes down to this. The best victory is the one you win without fighting. If you can achieve your goal without a battle, you've already won bigger than the person who fought and bled for the same result. Because you conserved resources, you avoided risk. You didn't waste energy. That's superior strategy. In the art of war, his first principle is know yourself and know your enemy. If you know both, you can fight 100 battles without danger. If you know yourself but not the enemy, you'll win some and lose some. If you know neither yourself nor your enemy, you'll lose every time. This sounds simple. But watch how people actually operate. They don't know themselves. They overestimate their abilities. They ignore their weaknesses. They think they're ready when they're not. And they definitely don't know their opponent. They make assumptions. They underestimate. They fight without understanding what they're up against. Sun Tzu would say, that's not fighting. That's suicide. Real strategy starts with brutal honesty about your situation, your actual strengths, your actual weaknesses, your actual resources, not what you wish you had, what you actually have, and then the same brutal assessment of your opponent or challenge. Once you have that clarity, you can plan, and planning is where battles are won or lost. Sun Tzu said, every battle is won before it's fought. The outcome is decided in the preparation, in understanding the terrain, in positioning yourself correctly, in choosing the right time and place. The actual fight is just the execution of a plan that already determined the result. Think about that. Most people show up and just start fighting. They react, they push, they try hard, but they never planned. They never set up the conditions for victory. They're just swinging and hoping. That's not strategy. That's chaos. Sun Tzu tells this story about a battle where a small army defeated a massive one. The small army didn't meet them head-on. That would be suicide. Instead, they studied the terrain, found a narrow pass where the large army couldn't use its numbers, positioned themselves perfectly, waited for the right moment, then attacked when the enemy was vulnerable. The large army couldn't maneuver. Their strength became a weakness, and they lost. Same principle applies everywhere. You don't beat a stronger opponent by matching their strength. You beat them by making their strength irrelevant, by changing the game, by fighting on different terms, by using strategy to nullify their advantage. Sun Tzu also taught something critical about timing. He said, there's a time to attack and a time to wait. Knowing which is the mark of a skilled strategist. Most people either attack too soon before they're ready, or wait too long and miss their opportunity. Both are failures of strategy. The skilled strategist reads the situation, sees when conditions favor action, sees when they favor patience, and acts accordingly. Not based on emotion, not based on ego. Based on cold assessment of what the moment requires. He also said, appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. This is about controlling perception, about making your opponent misjudge you. If they think you're weak, they get overconfident and make mistakes. If they think you're strong, they might not attack at all. Either way, you control their decision-making through strategy. This goes against our instincts. We want to show strength, prove ourselves, intimidate. But Sun Tzu would say that's ego, not strategy. Strategy is doing whatever works, not whatever makes you feel powerful. Sometimes that means looking weak. Sometimes that means hiding your true capabilities until the perfect moment to use them. Another key principle. Attack where they are unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. Sun Tzu understood that surprise is a weapon, that predictability gets you killed. If your opponent knows what you're going to do, they can counter it. But if you're unpredictable, if you hit where they're not looking, you create openings that shouldn't exist. Most people are predictable. They always respond the same way. They always attack the same points. They always use the same tactics. Sun Tzu would say that makes you easy to beat. The skilled strategist varies their approach, keeps the opponent guessing, never lets them get comfortable. He also taught about momentum. He said, a skilled commander seeks victory from the situation and does not demand it from his subordinates. What he means is that you create conditions where winning becomes natural, where momentum carries you forward. You're not forcing victory through willpower. You're setting up the situation so victory flows naturally from the circumstances you created. This is the difference between working hard and working smart. Working hard means pushing against resistance. Working smart means removing the resistance first. Creating conditions where your effort is multiplied, where the situation itself does half the work. Now let's talk about how this applies to your life. Because you're not fighting actual wars, but you are competing, dealing with obstacles, trying to achieve goals, and the same principles apply. First, know yourself. Brutally honest assessment. What are you actually good at? Where are you actually weak? What resources do you actually have? Most people skip this and wonder why they keep failing. You can't strategize without accurate information about your own capabilities. Second, know your challenge. Whether it's a competitor, a difficult situation, or a goal you're chasing. Really understand it. Don't assume. Don't guess. Study it. Learn its patterns. Find its weaknesses. Most people lose because they never really understood what they were up against. Third, plan before you act. Don't just dive in and hope. Think it through. What's the terrain? What's the timing? What's your positioning? How can you set up conditions that favor you? The time spent planning saves you time wasted on failed attempts. Fourth, avoid direct confrontation when possible. If you can achieve your goal through a smarter path, take it. Don't fight fair if unfair is legal and effective. Don't match strength with strength if you can use strategy to make strength irrelevant. Fifth, control perception. How people see you affects how they act toward you. Sometimes you want to be underestimated. Sometimes you want to be taken seriously. Either way, you're managing the perception strategically, not accidentally. Sixth, be unpredictable. Don't let people figure you out. Don't always do the obvious thing. Keep them guessing. This applies to negotiations, competitions, even relationships. Predictability is a weakness. 7th, create momentum. Set up your situations so success builds on success. So each win makes the next one easier. That's strategic thinking. Not just grinding, but arranging things so your effort compounds. Think about business. The companies that win aren't always the ones with the most money. They're the ones with better strategy, better positioning, better timing, better understanding of the market. Netflix didn't beat Blockbuster with more stores. They changed the game entirely. That's Sun Tzu level strategy. Or think about your career. You don't advance by just working harder than everyone. You advance by positioning yourself strategically, being in the right place at the right time, building the right relationships, solving the right problems, working smart, not just hard, or relationships. The people with the best relationships aren't the ones who try the hardest. They're the ones who understand people, who know when to push and when to give space, who create conditions where connection happens naturally. Strategy over force. Sun Tzu's final lesson is this: the greatest victory is the one that requires no battle. If you can achieve your goal without conflict, without waste, without risk, that's the ultimate success. Not because you avoided challenge, but because your strategy was so good that the challenge became unnecessary. This means thinking ahead, planning so well that problems don't arise, positioning so perfectly that obstacles move out of your way. That's mastery. That's what separates good from great. Not more effort, better strategy. Most people go through life like armies charging into battle without a plan, just hoping their effort will be enough. But Sun Tzu is telling you that's not how winning works. Winning is decided before the battle starts. In the preparation, in the strategy, in understanding the situation and yourself so completely that the right moves become obvious. You don't need to be the strongest. You need to be the smartest. You don't need the most resources. You need the best plan. You don't need to fight harder. You need to fight smarter. That's Sun Tzu's message. Strategy beats strength every single time. The question is, are you strategizing? Or are you just swinging and hoping? Because one leads to victory, the other leads to exhaustion and defeat. Choose wisely. Watch the next one for more tactical wisdom.